Earnings are back, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot to capitalize on. We're going to teach you free education on the TEVA stair-step strategy, how you could have bought it 3 times today very easily. And of course, we do all these trades in real time. Is Forex back again? Indeed, it is. Our earnings analysis, our game plan in Forex. We're going to analyze BABA before tomorrow's earnings, as well as our full stock analysis, your stock, my levels and thoughts. I am Mark Melnick, and this is the Newsbeat Show. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Newsbeat Show. A lot of action back again. Wow, what a nice little turnaround in Forex for me. Just pulling in heavy numbers here in the past month. Like, really just absolutely phenomenal month for me as I continue. We caught the nice few trades in a row here, Euro US dollar. And again, later in the show, we're going to show you exactly the live trades I have, just like I do every single Newsbeat show when I share with you our game plan in Forex. But for free education today, I would like to show you something, and I would like to show you the TEVA stair-step strategy. So I'm going to show you algorithmically how to make money, just using a triple level where algorithms are going to buy. So everybody knows TEVA reported. So TEVA reported, here's how it basically started, and it popped up, pulled down, popped up, pulled down, popped up, pulled all the way down, and then popped up a little before pulling down again. Was there an easy way to read bottoms here? Was there an easy way to read bottoms? And if you've taken my course, your obvious answer is yes. But let me show you, for those who have and for those who haven't, what you could have done right here in TEVA today. So first off, we're going to talk about the stair-step strategy. Basically, I call it stepping down because you're just basically going down to a new time frame, to a new time frame, to a new level, and you're only giving credence once. Now, if you took my course, you would know that when stocks have high volume, that all these levels break. You never buy at the level. So many people ask me, like, and I think I really explained this well during the course. They ask me, well, if a stock's at $51, Mark, and you see your support level at 50, are you buying at 50? That is the most common question people will ask me. Well, your support's at $50. Let's say you have stock XYZ, and it went from $51 and it's going down. Do I buy it at $50? And the answer is usually no. I wait for it to test $50 and then I see what happens and then I react. On a day in which a stock has earnings, you obviously have elevated volume. Every stock has elevated volume on earnings. On every single earnings report, always, for every single stock in the entire market since the beginning of the history of the market, this has always been true. So even just looking at TEVA today, you could see this is the volume TEVA did today. 35.9 million, definitely beat out the 15 million yesterday, which was above average, believe it or not. So yes, every time you report, here's the daily, you always do that elevated volume. So when you have elevated volume, what does that mean? I'm going to present it analogically, then I'm going to teach you, because you could probably use this strategy tomorrow. And by probably, I'm 99% sure you'll find a name to use this strategy on. So think of it like this. Think of volume as a powerful movement, a powerful wave. When you have low volume, when a stock is grinding down towards your support level on low volume, think of it as a closed door. You know the door stops people from going in and out, but if you break through it, it could obviously allow people in and out. Now, imagine 2 5-year-olds running at a closed door full speed. What's going to happen if 2 5-year-olds run into the door to your bedroom at full speed? They're going to like crack against the door and fall down on their butts and probably cry and wait for you to come over and do something for them. And then, of course, I'm going to have to ask, why do you have 2 5-year-olds running at a door at full speed? That doesn't make too much sense either, but you're going to entertain my analogy for now. Now, when you have earnings and you have high volume, think about it like the New York Jets charging at that bedroom door at full speed. What's going to happen? That door is going to fly right off of its frame. The door is going to fly right open. If you have, the New York Jets, why aren't they called the New Jersey Jets? I've never understood that. If you have the New York Jets running at a door at full speed. So that's my analogy. On earnings, you always look for levels to break. So, as I say, stair-step strategy. If you've taken my course, you know what's been working in this market consistently. Does it work 100% of the time? Of course not. But it's working over 70% of the time, and that's important to know. So, first test of the ADMA. It hit today at 1915. The stock flushed to 1982 right here. I bought in at $19. I bought in at $19. I bought it. It flushed against me a bit and then popped up and exploded even higher, twice as hard to the upside as it went against me to the downside. I went ahead and I was able to sell for a profit. Next, throughout the day, TEVA started grinding down again and it broke through the pivot. You see the pivot point. That was the second level that I gave you, which is working consistently in this market. So it broke the pivot point. The pivot point here, if you can't read it, if it's really small, says $18.68.5. So let's call it $18.68, right? You hit the level, you fall down, but notice the confluence of technical analysis. You also hit the 200 moving average. So when the stock hit $18.57, which is the dead low, that's when I said TEVA was a buy right now. I actually missed this one. I caught the first one and I caught the third one, but I called out all three of them in real time. That's what I do. See, the difference is what I try to bring to the room is really my 12 years of experience. 12? No, I lied. 11 and a half years of experience as a broadcaster. And how I do that is a lot of times, and you guys will know that you guys are getting better prints than me all the time. Some people do, some people don't. And you'll notice it in the room that people, when we call out our trades, that people are getting better prints than me. It's very important in a room. It is of critical importance that the broadcaster is as transparent as possible. Members of the room don't have to be transparent as possible. You always get that member of the room who is a good person trying to help, but is Captain Hindsight's daughter or son or first cousin. Yeah, I'm first cousins with Captain Hindsight. I'm telling you that I bought, XYZ over here at $50, and you look at XYZ and you type it in and it's at like $50.83, and you're like, well, thanks, because now it's trading higher. You get people like that, and there's never a bad intention with that. Then you get other people who will just simply not say a word, and then you'll get other people who will give a level ahead of time and just trade it as it is, and that is acceptable, and I respect all those people. However, as a broadcaster, you have to bring value to your community. You have to try your best to make it as easy to follow. So when you're following these trades that I'm calling the bottom on, first of all, these were called in the room. I'm not just highlighting an example, flipping through charts. And B, it sounds like this. Okay, on the first one, number one, you see on the first here where it says buy now, the stock was trading at $19.30. And then it went down to 1928, 27, and I'm like, guys, I want to see TEVA flush through $19.15. If that happens, I'm going to buy $19.50 calls or $19 calls in the name. So you're already prepped up. You're already set up. Traders use this moment to literally a lot of times just get their order entry ready and they're ready to go. The truth is, it didn't even matter what calls you bought for the most part. You could have bought next week's 19 calls. You could put 18 and a half calls. You could put a 19 and a half calls. You could have bought the monthly 20s. It really didn't matter. And back to some questions, a lot of people, the majority of people are actually trading just common shares in the room. They're just simply buying TEVA stock. Because if my calls are making money, your common shares of stock are definitely making money. See, that's the difference. Every single time my calls work, your shares will work on setups like this. So when I'm saying buy now, I'm literally saying, okay, guys, when I say now, I'm going to hit my order in. And it's like, okay, now. And that's how it sounds. And that transparency, right or wrong, in this case it was right. And yes, I am wrong on plays, is very important for a broadcaster. Is extremely important because it is my goal to make trading as transparent as possible. That is the important part of a broadcaster. No flashy lights, no seven-figure P&Ls, no several seven-figure P&Ls. That's not important. That's usually, believe it or not, that's actually a good way to get somebody in your room, is to just flash them the amount of money you're making, because it commands respect as a trader when you're able to make money that way. Commanding respect as a trader is good, but commanding respect as a community is phenomenal. How many people in our room today come out of the woods and start sharing strategies? Deuce, for one, sharing one of his strategies today. Thank you. Great. Helping out each other. That's magical. So when you see these buy nows, I'm literally calling these things in real time, and I'm telling you them ahead of time and then saying in real time. And you want to know how it sounds like when I called this second bounce? Guys, TEVA could go up right here, right now. That's how it sounds like at the end of my sentence. You have to have conviction behind your words. A man without convictions behind his words is a man who does not have conviction at all. No ideas, no, oh, here's a setup I like, guys. If I open my mouth, I better be right 70% of the time. So with that being said, let's show you the stair-step strategy. The yellow line here is the exponential 8. Pulls back. I bought in right there. I call out my price. I even said, guys, I don't think I got the best price in the world here. But you get my price immediately. You guys, a lot of you guys got better prices after. However, everybody made money regardless of where you bought if you were able to sell in that second green candle. Next, we pulled back to the pivot point. Number 2, buy the first test of the pivot point. We flushed the pivot point. We called the dead bottom of that move, and the stock went from $18.57 all the way to just under $19. I think it hit $18.99, or did it actually hit $19 there? One of the two. Nonetheless, the calls, doubled, tripled, depending on which ones you're in, right? And then we waited all day. And then you see I have over here best conviction because of multiple technical parameters. Now, this part of the course is what we call the confluence of technical analysis. I wanted to really show you examples. And we were talking about this, by the way, the entire time, because we were talking about this thing since 11 o'clock, saying where we wanted to buy TEVA. So we were talking about it for an hour and a half. We were just beating it, and then bang, bang, we bought right there at the bottom. Now, why did it work? Now, if you read number 3 here, basically, once you test this exponential 8 for the first time, it's done. You ignore it for the rest of the day. Once this pivot point tests for the first time, it's done. You ignore it for the rest of the day. As I say in my course, you never look for double bottoms. Now, what happened on number 3, why it was the best conviction and why I took the heaviest size, believe it or not, on the third trade, was because you actually tested a trend line. I'm going to show you. If you took my trend line course, it actually headed lower, but you see this trend line here, this one that I've highlighted? If you actually draw a line to March 13th to April 24th, that's an algo buster reversal level. In English, it translates to a level where the biggest firms, where Goldman's and Merrill's and Morgan's and all the big people, all the big brokers, all the multi-billion-dollar firms, they have coded black boxes and algorithms that are buying at that level. That's why this trend line is important. If you want to know, Mark, why did you draw the trend line from there? Why didn't you draw it from somewhere else? You could have taken my main course. You could have taken my very cheap, inexpensive $195 trend line course, and it'll explain why. And I literally go into 3 hours for why this line works. But with that being said, the line hit today right there at 1807. That is where this line hits at 1807. But if you notice, look, the purple line's a 200 moving average. The red line here is a 50 moving average, and the yellow is the exponential 8 on the daily. And what happened here was the exponential 8 was actually a little higher. It was around 1810, 1809 at the time. It moved down throughout the day as the stock pulled in. You had three moving averages within 6 cents of each other. 1809, 1811, and 1815. That's where they were. Three moving averages and a trend line support at 1807 and an S3 support in which we use as better conviction in this market because we know its effectiveness. So when that level hit in TEVA, we were explaining it before it hit. Forget about real time. We were forecasting this level for an hour and a half. And then in real time when it hit, we went ahead and we bought it. And some of you guys got the lowest print of the day at the time. Some of you guys got, one of you guys at least got 29 cents. I saw somebody get 30. I saw somebody get 31 cents on the $18 calls. I happened to catch 34 cents. And then what happened? Look, the stock bounced beautifully. The calls went up, I don't know, 40% in a matter of, let's see, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes. Not bad. For the middle of the day, not bad. This isn't a 9:30 to 10 o'clock play. This is happening lunchtime at 12:30 where we bought. Not bad to make 40% of your money in 25 minutes. And if you bought common stock, great. Just as good. Maybe just as good. Just as easy. And then the stock went up. And I basically, where you see sell now, I sold 3/4 of my position. Then the stock came back, and I was running money on the house, and I chucked my final quarter for a micro loss at that point. Overall, making money on the position. 3 opportunities for the Melnick stair-step strategy. Do the exponential 8, do the pivot point, and then the confluence of technical analysis, as we say, best conviction because of multiple technical parameters. And the important part isn't me showing. Well, I'm not going to say that's not important that I showed you. It is very important that I showed you. What's more important is that we're doing it in a very simple to follow way. That is the importance. I'm not scrolling through charts looking for something good and talking about it. I'm not giving you 500 names in the room and then looking at which ones perform the best and then go over it at the end of the day like that was our game plan all along. TEVA was on the radar since this morning. We traded it. We traded it effectively, and it made back our day. Made back my day, and I know a lot of you have made back your day, and that's great. So hope you enjoyed that. Is Forex back again? Yes. So as I told you guys, the trend line that you, for example, saw on TEVA is the same trend lines I use, and the only thing I use in Forex. Here's my Forex chart. We bought the Euro US dollar right over here, right above that day low there on Wednesday, and it popped up. You know what 60 standard lots looks like on a trade like that? 60 standard lots. It's a beautiful trade. It's a beautiful, beautiful trade. It's a $24,000 trade. So it's very, very, very important. And one of the easiest ways to not get stopped out in stock trades is to be in options. That's how I prevent myself from getting stopped out personally. So it was a very big trade in Euro US dollar as well. So Forex is indeed back. I've been doing really, really well inside these Forex trades. And I know this doesn't look like a big move in Euro US dollar, but it's one of the, if not the most popular traded currency on the planet. And we were able to call the dead low using nothing else but trend lines. I'm not even following the moving averages too deeply, and they're just really there for reference. It's all about these trend lines. That's how I make 100% of the decisions, and that's where I'm bringing the consistency now, at least, in the Forex market. Earnings analysis. All right, let's go ahead and talk about some of the earnings. People didn't like what Elon Musk had to say. Elon Musk doesn't want to raise more money. Really? Really? It's like talking to a person who looks like a block of Swiss cheese who has bullet holes shot through him, saying that he doesn't want a blood transfusion. Oh, really? Okay. Let's put him on the do not resuscitate list. His company is bleeding billions, over $1 billion a year, bleeding with no sign, no road, no pathway to ever becoming profitable. No logical pathway. You can make stuff up. Like, I don't know, maybe Tesla will win the lottery 500 times next year and they'll buy it with a company lotto ticket and they'll do very well. Who knows? That's a possibility. But he sounded like a complete buffoon. Now, I'm going to show you my analysis in Baba and why I'm trying to make $20,000 on Baba with a $5,000 risk. And granted, I don't know if I'm going to be right or wrong. Baba is showing gapping a little down after hours here now. Okay. Not really super concerned about that. More just watching to see what they report tomorrow. I did take a lotto ticket bet in Baba, and basically what I did was, um, as my Twitter feed shows, I bought 187 and a half calls. And again, these are trades that I announce in the room in real time. Twitter gets it afterwards. I announce it in the room. I I announce in the room what I'm going to do. I actually throw on the trade. I tell the room the price I got, and then I go to Twitter and tweet out the entire trade with the price I got. So that's transparency. I give you guys literally, I tell you exactly what I'm going to do before I do it. And I'm making money consistently doing that. So what I did here in Baba was I bought the 187 and a half calls and I shorted the 192 and a half calls. So I literally there's $5 of room, 187 and a half to 192 and a half. And that's the beautiful thing about options. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. For example, let's say you took $1,200 worth of options in that trade I gave you. That $1,200 could translate into about 4 grand approximately of net profit. You'll make 5,000 minus the amount of money you put in. When you trade common shares on an earnings name like this, you stand to get destroyed because what happens if Baba comes out with the worst news ever that China is regulating them, that China is going to take away the company from them and put it under government and state control? What if that happened with Baba? I'm making it up, but giving that it's a Chinese company, many of you guys think, well, that's a logical possibility. I would say there's a tenth of a 1% chance of that happening. So with that being said, what if the worst news in the world, Jack Ma was funneling money out of the company, they're diluting the share, whatever, make it up. There's a million bad scenarios. I don't need to go through them. It would take you a lifetime to hear them. And Baba, for example, gaps down $50 tomorrow. $50. And I have 1,000 shares worth of call options, or 10 of them. You realize what would happen? How much I would lose on that $1,200 bet? I would lose $1,200. If you took 1,000 shares of Baba and it gapped down 50 points, you would lose $50,000. That is the beautiful thing about doing option call spreads. It's very simple. I know it sounds complex. It's so funny that I'm probably one of the stupidest option people you'll ever meet. I don't understand the Greeks. I don't understand the theta, delta, beta. So many people try to teach me. I learn it a little here and there, and then I forget it in a month. All I'm doing is just treating it as if it were common shares of stock, because that's what I'm used to trading my whole life. So what I did was I took 50 of the 187 and a half calls and I shorted 50 of the 192 and a half calls. And it cost me about 5,700. And with that 5,700, I stand to make 25,000 minus 5,700. So I'd make just under 20 grand if Baba, is clearly gaps up and is trading above 192 and a half. If it gaps down and things trade crappy and I lose on this trade, I'm going to lose $5,700 in the worst case scenario. So that's me talking about my bet now. Again, if you're in the room, you obviously get these things in real time. Obviously, the Newsbeat show it's too late to trade options. Options are closed right now, and they're going to report tomorrow morning, and I'm very bullish. Let's talk about what you can expect on Alibaba. Let's talk about what you're actually looking to see tomorrow on Alibaba. All right. So, first of all, I'm going to tell I'm predicting it. I'm predicting it right now, right? So here's the deal. Analysts are expecting 9.2 billion in revenue. But what can they I said they were going to report numbers percentage-wise that were better than Amazon. So let's take it. Let's go back to what Amazon reported. Let's go back to what Amazon reported. Very simple $30 news service fly on the wall. Let's see what Amazon reported. So when Amazon reported, all right. So Amazon reported revenue, Q1 revenue of 51 billion versus 49.87 billion. Let's call it 51 billion versus 50 billion expected. Percentage-wise, I would say look for Baba to post 10.5 billion or more. Look for Baba to really do 10.5 billion or more. I think that is going to be very logical. I think that's going to be very logical. I think they're going to. I think they're going to be beating. Their earnings estimates were lowered recently by a bunch of analysts. I completely disagree with the analyst, obviously. But here was something interesting that came out the other day. Citron came out and said that those numbers are too hard to read, but Citron came out on Alibaba and said Alibaba is on the way to $250. Citron Research believes the most compelling growth story in the market is also the world's most heavily shorted stock. So that's a lot that we actually have going for it here. So Alibaba is one of the world's most heavily shorted stocks. Alibaba to me is the gem, the crown jewel of China. I consider this the crown jewel of China. The reason for it is they're not just dominating China, they're dominating everything else. And you want to hear something funny about Alibaba? You want to talk cash flow? I'm comparing them to Amazon, by the way, right? Similar service, they offer things. How much how much cash do you think Amazon has on hand? I'll give you a guess. It's $31 billion. dollars. And how much debt Amazon has? $44 billion, dollars, which is fine because they keep making money. It's not the worst thing in the world. Granted, if they had more cash than debt, that would be very positive. Baba has more cash than them. Baba has more cash than 31 billion. Baba has 35.5 billion in cash and 20.5 billion in debt. Do you realize what that puts Baba in? Puts Baba in a situation where they don't have to really give up shares of their company if they wanted to buy someone out. They could do merger and acquisition and have it fully funded. They could financially fund it themselves. It is very easy. It is very easy. There are 120.6 million shares short. You have 53% of the company held by insiders. This genius son of a gun right here, and the company has just been absolutely phenomenal. So, with that being said, the difference between you know how many people are using Amazon in China? Take a guess. How many people do you think are using Amazon in China? Well, the Seattle-based e-commerce titan Amazon had only 1.3% of the Chinese online retail market. 1.3%. You know what that means? What does that mean? Baba has 47% and JD.com has 20%. Alibaba, they are never going to overtake Alibaba in China. Why is that important? Would you rather have access to 1.3 billion people, or would you rather have access to 380 million people? It's a rhetorical question. There are 4 people living in China compared to 1 person living in the US on average. For every 4 people in China, or 3.5 people in China, there's 1 person living in the US. Not only that, who do you think is dominating India? Who do you think is dominating India, by the way, which is the only country on earth with a higher population than China, by the way? Yes, China and India represent 1 out of 3 people on the planet. If you took the entire world, a third of them live in China or India. Baba is dominating India. So you want to talk about growth story? I don't see any reason why Alibaba isn't worth twice as much as Amazon at this juncture. It's surprising. Baba is a $468 billion company. Amazon is a $762 billion company. There is no way in hell Amazon is more valuable than Baba, except for on paper, like I just showed you. You want to talk about price to earnings ratio? You want to know how much Amazon is actually earning for every dollar you're spending on them? I'll tell you. $255 P ratio. Do I have to remind you, were you any of you traders? I know a lot of you were back in the late 90s, early 2000 during the dot-com bubble. Were any of you guys traders? Do you remember looking at stocks with $255 P ratios and laughing at them and then watching them absolutely get decimated during the market correction? That's what Amazon feels like right now. Except Amazon is a company that's powerful and keeps growing. I think it's a very good company. I'm not downplaying it. What do you think the P ratio of Alibaba is? And this is important because I'm going to get to the point here really quickly, and this is going to blow your mind. $44 P ratio. So 200 so you're paying $255 for every dollar earned in Amazon as opposed to Alibaba where you could be paying currently $44. So I'm going to just show you the little calculator here. And we're going to do am I doing the math right here? 44.17. Yes. So um, basically basically what's happening here is if Alibaba was priced on a price to earnings basis identically to Amazon, which I think they should be priced higher. You want to know why I agree with Citron for the first time in my life? You know, when he was bashing NVIDIA with saying it's a $90 stock, I made fun of him. Andrew left. When he said Wayfair, because he talked to a bunch of Harvard nerds, that they said, oh, Wayfair should be valued at like $11.25 a share. And I said that he was a complete and utter moron and they didn't know what the hell they were talking about, despite coming from an Ivy League university. What a disgrace to Harvard. That was me talking about Andrew left before. Now, if Alibaba, which is a $182 stock, trades at the exact same multiple as Amazon, this stock would be worth $1,092 today. And if that were the case, it would also be over a $2.5 trillion company. Do you think that's crazy? To think that Alibaba could turn into a $2.5 trillion company? I know all these companies are racing to a trillion, right? Racing to a trillion with Apple with a strong lead. Just because you're the first company to a trillion doesn't mean you're going to be the most valuable company from there on out. Yeah, you'll be the most valuable company market cap wise at that point. Now, I'm not saying that Alibaba should be priced the same as Amazon. Let's say Jeff Bezos, far smarter man than Jack Ma, far smarter man than the Alibaba CEO. Are you telling me that $100 P ratio would be too crazy for an Alibaba? Or how about this? How about an $85 P ratio? Would that be too crazy? Because if this had an $85 PE ratio right now, Alibaba would be the largest known publicly traded company in the world. And guess what? I think they're going to be. Now, this doesn't have, 100% to do with their earnings report and whatnot. But if you want to know why I bet on it, for better or for worse, whether they gap this up or they gap this down, my fundamental thoughts are not changing on Alibaba. I just wanted to give you some of my own personal insights. So that's my earnings analysis for tomorrow. Game plan in Forex. Very simple, very stupid. CLWT, Euro Tech Holdings. This stock can potentially explode tomorrow. Check it out. Simple trigger I'm giving you, $8.45. It's trading up after hours now to 760. I think you could get and break through $8.45. Remember the name I gave you yesterday was this psychotic name. It opened up at 32 and a quarter and literally shot up to $42. It shot up 10 points in 5 minutes off the open. This was the name I gave you guys yesterday, by the way. IMTE. So today, CLWT, and of course, big breakout name, giving you the bullish trigger through 845. I know a lot of you guys are looking forward to these Forex trades. Well, these are my live orders. I sold my Euro US dollar. We made good money on it. Well, let me fix that for you. There you go. You get all my live orders. These are unfilled open orders right now. You get the type of order, they're buys. You get the size and standard lots. You get the symbol pairing I'm attacking. You get the price I'm willing to buy it at. You don't have to guess what I'm willing to pay for it. This is what I'm willing to pay for it. These are live orders, and I only cancel them at 7 o'clock p.m. tomorrow, right before I do the Newsbeat show. Stop loss right over here. Take profit right over here. And sometimes I sell before they hit the stop loss or take profit. In fact, I usually do. So those are my Forex plays. And of course, now, ladies and gentlemen, we go into our full stock analysis. That's your stocks, my levels and thoughts, where I would personally buy your stocks or sell your stocks. And I answer that all for you, trying to bring value to any ideas you may have. However, this is indeed for Newsbeat Live members only. We are the fastest growing trading room in the nation. Happy trading, make money. I hope you guys enjoyed the Newsbeat show, and we'll see you guys next time on the Newsbeat Live trading broadcast. Have a wonderful evening.